Hello everyone, it's Gina from Orchid and Opal.com, and I am back today with the 2-hole beads and the Hot and Trendy Beads of the Month clubs that I received for September 2022. These are the single versions, so the smaller sizes. They do offer 2 different sizes of all of their clubs, and there's 6 different ones that you can choose from, in addition to the fact that you can choose their rotating club and rotate through all their different ones and get a different one each and every month. I'll leave the link to these subscriptions right down below the video. It'll take you right to them and you can find out all the details that you need to know there. And I also have a coupon code. It's Opal10, OPAL 10, that'll save you 10% off the first month of your first club if you'd like to try them out. These clubs are great, especially if you know what it is you like and what you like to work with, including things like Hot and Trendy, which could be almost anything. It is going to include mainly check glass beads though. They're all very high quality, but it could be anything from single hole to multi-hole and different shapes, sizes, finishes. It's going to be a surprise, but if you like to work with all different things, this might be the type of club for you. Let's go ahead and get into that one first. And it says our theme this month is called Creamsicle. These themes and color schemes change every month, so you're always getting something different. And as you can see on our list, we've got 8 different types of beads that we're going to take a look at today in our club. And we'll do a little flip over before we get right into it. Nice. This reminds me of candy corn, which we're seeing a lot of these days with the orange and white and golden yellow color. So we will dive into each of these close up. Let me just get organized and I will be right back. And number 1 on our list is a container of the opaque white ceramic look Arcos Parpuca beads, and we have 7 grams included. And of course, these are a 3-hole bead shape with that arc design, giving us 1 hole that goes up through the center and 2 off to either side of that. And of course, you can put 2 of these together if you're trying to make them into a circle and put something in the middle that you string that gets framed in there, just as one example. I do have some tutorials using these particular beads, and I'm sure lots of other beads we're going to see today. And one tip, if you're not sure where to go for the tutorials for specific bead shapes, if you look on my homepage on my website, on the bottom right is a big long list of all different bead shapes. And if you click on them, for example, if you look for Parpuca, Arcos, that will take you to anything that I've shared tutorial-wise that incorporate these particular beads. Next up are the orange rainbow iris petals. There's 25 of those in the container. These are a very vibrant orange color, and they have that coating giving us the iridescence that shows up on both sides. And of course, these are a familiar check glass shape to a lot of us that you can put together and turn into beaded flowers, just as one way to use these. And they've got that interesting pressed design where it's kind of concave on one side and more convex on the other. The rounded 3-sided petals, as you can see, have a hole that is located toward the top of one of those rounded points. Up next, we have the tangerine pearl dagger beads, and there's 25 pieces of these included. So these have that sort of marigold color, the orangey yellow, and that pearlescent satiny shine that's on the outside, but still on the transparent glass, which lets some of the light through these dagger beads, of course, with their hole at the top and the elongated pointed bottom, which also make really great petals for floral-like designs. And here's an example of how you can use these dagger beads. These came in a previous Beads of the Month club for me, and this is one of the recent tutorials that I shared called the Perennial Pendant, so feel free to look for that if you are trying to find a new dagger bead design to work up. Our next container is holding the crystal tri beads. There's 7.5 grams included in this package. Here you can see these close up, that triangle shape, but with the hole this time going through the face directly through the center of the bead. No extra special coatings or anything, just the clear glass. And because of their pointed shape, these can be really interesting in projects like Kumihimo, where the points are going to stick out a little bit. You can also use these in place of certain spacer beads or seed beads, and also sometimes demi rounds, depending on the size gap you're trying to fill up. And again, because of the triangular shape, it just adds a little bit of extra texture. Item number 5 is the container holding the white pearl lily petals, and there's 50 pieces of these included. These have a rounded claw-like shape. These are another drop and also another petal shape that could be used and combined with some of these other petal-like shapes that we've seen below if you wanted to create a layered bead woven floral design. And as you can see, these of course have that subtle pearlescent shine over top of the opaque white. Up next is a container holding the orange luster button drop beads. This is a very pumpkiny orange, and they look like they'd be regular round glass beads, right? Except for the fact that the hole placement is giving them a drop shape, since when you string these, the hole is located right there at the top and just kind of pops out the other side at the top there. So not going directly through the middle of the bead, but going more towards one side. Container number 7 is holding the light topaz luster flower cups with 12 pieces in the container. And they have that light golden, buttery yellow, transparent glass with just a hint of a silvery metallic sheen that's on top of the glass. You can see where the hole is placed going up through the center of the flower and out through the back. They've got 5 petals. And these are another great item for layering in bead weaving, especially if you put this toward the center with another type of bead maybe on top of that area in the center, or use these as something similar to a bead cap, or even if you tip them like this and put a bead cap on the back of that and then something hanging from the bottom, that looks cool too. Our 8th and final container for this Hot and Trendy Club is containing the light topaz full AB ornamental button beads. So we have a total of 10 of these with that beautiful iridescent AB coating over top of the light golden yellow color. And of course we have the pressed swirly detail on both sides, the hole that goes up through the middle of these beads, and that flat compressed round shape that is similar to the shape of a button. So that's another beautiful mix and a great example of the types of things that they send if you sign up for the Hot and Trendy Club. And once again, this is the single size. They also offer the double size in all of their clubs. So you would still get the same 8 containers of beads, but they'd be twice the size, containing twice the amount, that is. So you'd get twice the quantity of the beads. And of course, you're welcome to sign up to more than one club. I happen to really enjoy the surprise of working with these unique and interesting shapes to inspire me for different projects. So I particularly enjoyed this one and their 2-hole beads of the month club that we'll look at in just a moment. In addition to their beads, they do have finding companion packs now, so if you would like to sign up for that, you can add that on to any bead subscription and it will ship at no additional cost. And if you're outside of the US, you can just send them an email or give them a call and let them know your specific location and get a quote for the shipping directly to your location if you wanted to ask about that. I know it's not advertised, but they do have great customer service and I'm sure they would like to help you out if possible. So now let's get into our 2-hole bead club. The theme of this one is called Fuchsia Glam. And again, we have 8 containers of beads. And we see some bold magenta with some metallics that we'll get into. And once again, I'll get organized and we'll take a closer look at each of these containers one at a time. And we're going to kick it off with the pink Metal Lust kite-shaped beads. There's 7 grams included. There's a closer look at these, and of course you can see why they're called a kite bead because of their shape, with the more elongated side on one end and the shorter portion on the other side, imitating the look of a traditional kite, with 2 holes that run directly parallel through either side of these beads. And this bright metallic coating, which imitates the look, I think, of like powder coated metal. Next up, we have the Crystal Picasso Rula beads, and there's 7.5 grams included. So these have almost an animal print combination with that dark contrast against that golden shade that makes up the base glass. These are kind of like a cylinder shape, but with 2 holes that run parallel through the side instead of through the length of the bead. And we have that Picasso finish, which provides that darker tone and contrast on top of the gold and give these a mottled and a little bit more toned down look. Up next, we have the Topaz Gold Splash Honeycombs with 30 pieces in the container. So these are like a gold on gold with the transparent topaz color that makes up the base. And then they have the metallic golden splash that's splattered over the surface on both sides. Of course, these are a 6-sided shape, and you can see those 2 holes running through there, up and down through the beads. Next, we have the Crystal Slipperit Pyramids, and there's 25 pieces. These are so fun to look at with the different shades of metallic, more towards the top of the pyramid. And you can see that hint of magenta that also contains some gold and silver, bringing our entire palette together, really. Then it gets more clear at the bottom, and you can see where the holes are running parallel through the base of the flat portion of the pyramid, where the glass is more transparent. And in some cases, you could use these in place of a 2-hole check glass tile bead, because you see, if you look at these at the bottom, they're kind of shaped the exact same way. So depending on the pattern, if you have room for the top to stick out, say on a bracelet, that would be a good way to use these. And I didn't even realize these were up next, so that's kind of funny. But these are the gray pearl stripe tile beads, the same exact bead I was just talking about. And you can see how that shape is very similar to what you saw at the base of the pyramids. There's a very subtle striation of the gray tone. They have a smooth and glossy finish to these opaque glass beads. And instead of just being a straight one tone of gray, there is that subtle variation. Our next pop of fuchsia or magenta comes with these pink Metal Lust ginkgos, and we have 7 grams of those. So once again, another unique 2-hole check glass bead shape. These looking like ginkgo leaves, which is where they got their name. They have the rounded side and then the pinch side that is opposite of that, with the 2 holes that run from the pinch side and out through the top of the rounded portion. And these are in the same finish that we saw in those kite beads. So those would definitely coordinate if you wanted to use those together in a project. And you can usually count on seeing a variety of super duo or mini super duo show up in the 2-hole clubs. And this time we have the Topaz Slipperit super duos with 12.5 grams. These have a bright and shiny metallic coating with that slipperit finish. And just like the pyramids, we see some hints of magenta with a lot of gold and a little bit of silver, maybe even some copper. And that finish shows up on one side. The other side gives you the reflective light play of that metallic combination coming through the other side of the golden topaz. And our eighth and final container is holding the pastel light gray silver Cheops Parpuka beads, and we have 7 grams inside. So yet another triangular shape of check glass, and this one being even different again from our others. They have the flat front and back facing, and the way the hole placement is, you get the 2 holes down there, and they each go up and down through either side of that triangle towards a pointed end, just like that. They're the same on both sides, and we have this satiny, silvery metallic gray to round out our palette with another neutral tone. And there's everything all together, and I really like how the slipperit, in particular, that finish, brings the whole palette together. You get a little bit of everything in those beads, which end up looking great with any of these other metallics or neutral tones that we see in some of that dark silvery gray. And this is definitely another unique palette. I mean, every single time it's something different. That's what I love about these clubs. They really inspire me to work with things that I didn't necessarily pick out myself and inspire me to try new things. And that's always a fun surprise. So this is another example of a club that I really recommend, especially if you know what you like to work with. If you know that you like to work with 2-hole check glass beads, and it could also include sometimes the Miyuki line of Tila's, then this is the type of club that would probably interest you. And in both of these clubs, of course, you don't get the same bead shapes every time. Those switch around also because there's just so many different types out there. So you'll end up getting a well-rounded collection of things over time. So bringing back both of these trays and looking at everything all together, I love these clubs. As usual, that's no surprise to me though. I've been getting these for a number of years and they've been so consistent and so fun to open up with you all. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Also, don't forget you can check the invoice that you get with your package. There's going to be a link included at the bottom, and that changes every month. It'll give you access to 3 new downloadable and printable patterns that oftentimes include some of these more unique shapes. So be sure to not throw away that invoice before you check out that link. Also, if you want to sign up, you can use that coupon code OPAL10 to save 10% off the first month of your first club. And I recommend checking out their website, which you can find linked down below for all the additional details and to check out the other clubs they have to offer, including gemstone beads, seed beads, delicas, and fire polish. I'm sure you'll see some of these beads popping up in finished jewelry designs and future tutorials. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you back. Also, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have a favorite item that you've seen here today or what you think about Beads of the Month Club or anything else you'd like to say. And feel free to share the video wherever you like. That's all I have for now. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.